which is a happier, friendlier capitalism. So this is a radical break. Leninists don't want a happier, friendlier capitalism. They want the ability and organization that is able to overthrow it. So all organization they do is not to empower communities qua empowering communities. It's to prepare those workers for the revolutionary seizure of the state.
Can I just be clear about my question? Yeah, there are very fundamentally different aims there, but in terms of tactics, like, for instance, the IIF organizers use a specific series of tactics that involve, interviewing lots and lots of people one-on-one before they ever plan actions, so that whatever they do will be set within a community, and they have a specific kind of discipline in terms of who they will reject from their organizations and why. And I understand, yes, there's a fundamentally different aim there, and I certainly wouldn't expect anybody who's trying to be a revolutionary to emulate that. I was wondering, in terms of their specific tactics and their approach to discipline, if there's any way you feel that this is applicable, if there's any way you think that it's not applicable because of the foundational differences.
Okay, yeah, actually, vanguard actually, means the advance guard. It's the approaching part of an army, right? And so a vanguard is always at the forefront. But then there's the rear guard, which in an army defends the supplies and is at the back, or fights a rear guard action when the army is retreating. It's the part that stays behind. So the vanguard is in contact with workers. But what it does is it generates new struggles or creates the possibility for new struggles ex nihilo. No, not ex nihilo, out of the concrete conditions. So Lenin makes this really clear, right? The vanguard needs to get the workers to fight against all injustice, against everyone, everywhere. Now, there's no inherent disposition among anyone to fight for anyone else, right? So the vanguard has to actually bring this revolutionary theoretic, which is not self-interested, which is not based on their individual subjectivity, and this is again why revolutionary theory is so important. And so it brings new struggles, completely unknown, to the workers to fight. It's helpful in some ways at some times to understand what a community wants, but that doesn't necessarily entail that that's an advanced struggle. Because what differentiates a vanguard is the vanguard leads the struggles. It's pushing the workers towards more and deeper conflicts with capital. Whereas if you just take a survey of what the workers want and what their interests are, that might be helpful. But if that's all you're doing, and then fighting those struggles. So let's be clear. You find out what they want, you find out how their lives suck, and then you fix those problems. Then all you've done is just reinforce the rearguard ideology of the workers. You're just chasing after the workers for whatever they want. The vanguard leads, the rearguard follows. Does that at all?
Yes.
Okay. As in regards to discipline, in this case, it's a matter of organizational and structural discipline over not necessarily any individual discipline. So let me give two examples. Plenty of revolutionaries in the Russian Social Democratic Party and the Bolshevik wing did very immoderate things. Most of them were drunks. Lenin himself had a case of nerves and was prone to stress. Stalin was rude as hell and not particularly friendly. And so these individual problems never really were important, because the importance of discipline was organizational discipline. And sometimes that even meant going against the explicit will of the party. So here's the second example. John pointed out that Lenin fell out of favor with the Russian Social Democratic Party, especially after 1905. And one of the questions was, what do we do about violence? Now, at this point, they had gotten some moderate gains, and so it seemed very commonsensical. What we shouldn't do is threaten those very moderate gains that we had made. And what we shouldn't do is, engage in revolutionary struggles to overthrow capitalism. Well, here's the problem with having an entire immigrant party, right? A party of immigrants, they're all living in Europe, is somebody needs to fund that. And so Lenin said, you know what, we should rob banks or rob trains and use money to fund our party and reintroduce socialism to Russia. So a young man by the name of Iosif Drugashvili, who would later be called the Man of Steel, also known as Stalin, believed in this party discipline, right? As a revolutionary vanguard. Lenin saw the Russian Social Democrats as going the wrong direction, and he believed this was the correct policy, right? So it's organizational. He was willing to make a break for the organization of revolutionary struggles. And out of party discipline, right, Joseph Stalin left the Russian Social Democrats. He left the party at the behest of Lenin to rob trains and funnel that money back to the party. So again, the question is always contingent on the historical conditions. Sometimes what it means to have party discipline is to not question publicly in any way, shape, or form the orders coming down, to do exactly what is asked of you as soon as it's asked of you, as was necessary during the Russian Civil War. But sometimes, for the sake of the vanguard, right, leading the revolutionary struggles, what's necessary to exercise party discipline as a cohesive political entity is to leave the party and act completely against the orthodox, reactionary, rearguardist party demands. And so in this case, right, Stalin was actually exercising proper party discipline.